So it's true. Someone has been approached to play Rubius Hagrid. It was me. I've been approached to play Rubius Hagrid. No, Nick Frost. Which I like Nick Frost. Him and Simon Pegg are hilarious together. He played Santa in Harry Potter. Doctor Who, the Christmas special last Christmas. I mean, somehow he played Santa, and yet he came off menacing sometimes. Also, can we also appreciate the fact that his name is Nick Frost and he was playing Santa? Can we just appreciate that? But Nick Frost reportedly in talks to play Hagrid in HBO's Harry Potter series. Now, I saw people were like, oh, well, he's not tall enough. Robbie Coltrane was only like 6'2". Hagrid is like, what, 8 feet tall? So it doesn't matter if he's not tall enough. They're going to have, clever camera shots, and I'm sure they'll do the same thing they did with the movies, where they actually did have someone who was like 7'4" or whatever. And they can have him kind of stand in for some of the shots, like when he's interacting with the kids or whatever, and you really need to show the size difference, you have someone like that come in. But when it's just like him on screen and it's just him. But they use a lot of trickery of the cameras and different angles to make it look like he's bigger than what he is. But HBO and again, keep in mind, they're clearly going with unexpected choices. You have John Lithgow playing Dumbledore. So HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series has received a new development, with reports indicating that British actor-comedian Nick Frost is nearing a deal to play the lovable half-giant Rubius Hagrid. Like I said, I love the guy. Him and Simon Pegg are kind of like Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie. I mean, they're absolutely hilarious. According to Deadline, Frost is being scouted to join the cast as Hagrid. However, HBO has not officially confirmed the casting. I mean, they didn't do that with John Lithgow or Papa, whatever the hell his name is. But then that turned out to be true. So, instead, they said the following: we appreciate that such a high-profile series will draw a lot of rumor and speculation. As we make our way through pre-production, we can only confirm details as we finalize deals. This could mean any number of things. However, without the official confirmations, what they actually meant could be conjecture. Wait. What they actually meant would be conjecture. Yeah. Who is Nick Frost? It's a good man. No, Nick Frost is best known for his work in Edgar Wright's Cornetto's trilogy, starring alongside Simon Pegg in Shaun of the Dead. I love Shaun of the Dead. Great movie. And even better when Simon Pegg came out and said, no, you're not getting Shaun of the Dead 2. He's like, we're not making Shaun of the Dead 2. We are never going to make Shaun of the Dead 2. Hot Fuzz, which is really hilarious. World's End, which is really good. His comedic timing and ability to balance humor with genuine emotion have earned him a strong following. Yeah, he's really talented. Like I said, he was playing Santa in Doctor Who, but he could often come out as menacing or like his introduction, the presence he had, his entrance. You see the wall blow up, you see a tangerine roll in, and then a bunch of little toy robots come, rolling it on, marching on in, and you see some slinkies going on, and he comes and he's like, well, now, what seems to be the problem? And then you see him, like, he cuts through with some kind of a little bit of seriousness, but then he goes goofy and he takes out the little thing for, hey, Rudolph, easy now. And you hear, like a car. And then he looks at the people with the dream crabs on their faces, and he's like, oi, sleepyheads, Christmas Eve, early to bed. And then he just claps his hands and they all walk back to bed. I mean, just the presence that he has. Beyond comedy, Frost has explored action and drama with roles in Into the Badlands. Ugh, I hate the Badlands. One of the worst zones ever. And fighting with my family. Frost's upcoming project include a live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon. I didn't know he was in that. Set for release in June 2025. His experience in both fantasy and action-oriented roles could make him a strong fit for Hagrid. Speculation regarding this casting began after Frost's cryptic Instagram post on March 20th, 2025, with the caption, "It's happening. It's actually happening." I'm sorry, but how could someone look at that and be like, "Oh my god, he's Hagrid. You are Hagrid now." Fans also noticed that Frost had recently followed several confirmed cast members. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Further indicating that perhaps Deadline's report is true. Robbie Coltrane. Um, Upholding Hagrid's legacy. Yeah, just like Snape. This man has huge shoes to fill, both figuratively and literally, because, again, Hagrid is like 8 feet tall. So he quite literally has huge shoes to fill. Um, but Robbie Coltrane he was Hagrid. It's just kind of like how Alan Rickman was Snape. Robbie Coltrane was Hagrid. Like, you see him off the screen and he's basically like Hagrid. So to someone like him, slipping into that whole Hagrid persona really wasn't that hard for him. Um, but known for his gruff yet affectionate demeanor, Hagrid was a guiding figure for the titular character Harry Potter throughout his school years. The kind and iconic Hogwarts groundskeeper was originally portrayed by the late Robbie Coltrane. That made me sad. Like, this dude was so lovable. Like, seriously. Um, in the Harry Potter films, Coltrane's performance, yeah, yeah, one of the most beloved characters. He did. Like, it's like there's Snape. Exactly. There's just some characters that just stood out more than others. Considering, it's like Dumbledore. Richard Harris, legendary actor. And the two films he did were amazing. Unfortunately, he was sick, if you notice, during the second one. His voice was a lot more, raspy, and he was sick. And then he passed not too long after that. And then when Prisoner of Azkaban came around, we saw Michael Gambon. We're like, where the hell's Richard Harris? And then we found out he died. But then because Dumbledore, or Michael Gambon, had portrayed Dumbledore from Prisoner of Azkaban to the end, he pretty much became the Dumbledore. Like, Harris is still amazing, but when we think of Dumbledore now, we think of Michael Gambon. Same thing with Snape. From the very beginning, again, the guy knew his fate. J.K. Rowling knew what Snape's fate was going to be. And she told him everything that was going to happen. Like, this is what's going to happen to Snape. So he was able to really pour himself into that role as Snape, because he knew Snape's the angle he's coming from with certain things, his motivations, he knew his fate, he knew how he was going to die. So he was really able to convey all of that. And I think J.K. Rowling said that Snape's fate was like one of the things she always knew how it was going to end. You had other characters like, oh yeah, I wanted to kill Ron at one point, but then we decided to just almost kill his dad instead. She said she wanted to kill Ron because she was like in a bad place in her life, but then ultimately decided against it and just like, oh, we'll just slightly injure Mr. Weasley. But Snape was the one character she knew for a fact this was his end. So yeah, when it comes to playing Hagrid, that's a lot of, that's a lot to fill right there. Um, the new Harry Potter series, led by showrunner Francesca Gardiner, Garnier, and director Mike Malad is projected to run for a decade. So I mean, it would also make sense to get someone who's young. I mean, John Lithgow, I think he said by the time it finishes up, he'll be in his 80s or something like that. Um, each session will focus on one book from J.K. Rowling series, allowing for a more in-depth adaptation than the original films. HBO has described the project as a faithful adaptation. Enter Papa Isidue as Severus Snape, which is not faithful to the books. But sure, whatever. Though how closely we'll follow the books compared to the films remains to be seen. Casting controversies and fan reactions. Every show has its controversies, and the live-action Harry Potter is no different. Most notable thus far is reported and proposed casting of Papa Isidue, Papa Emeritus, as Severus Snape. Many Harry Potter fans were outraged by this announcement, and from what I hear, he's a great actor. It's just he's not Snape. Snape is supposed to be like ugly with a hook nose and stuff like that. And this Papa dude, he's not a bad looking guy. I mean, of course, Alan Rickman, that fucking sexy chat of a man, wasn't exactly ugly either, but his features came closer to what J.K. Rowling had envisioned and described rather than Papa Emeritus. And also, we're gonna make the black man the one who's getting bullied and everything by like James and Sirius and all them. Boy, I can't wait for the scene where James flips him upside down and all that. Are we gonna hear James spew some racial slurs? Because is that the story now? Is that why Snape hates James and everything so much? Because not only that did James end up with Lily, but he also was calling him racial slurs because Snape's black now. I mean, great going, guys. Um, this in turn led to loss of faith from the audience, with several declaring on social media that they would not watch the series after such a betrayal. Top 10 anime betrayals. As the series moves through pre-production, more casting announcements are expected to be in the coming months. The search for the actor, yeah, they still haven't found the trio yet, which is insane. John Lithgow's Albus Dumbledore, making him the first American to make him take a major role in Harry Potter. We also have apparently McGonagall is casted. Whether Frost ultimately lands the role of Hagrid or not, one thing is clear: HBO's Harry Potter series is already proving to be one of the most talked about television projects in recent years. Sure. But yeah, I think Nick Frost would be great. He'd be great. I think he really would be able to pull it off. Um, with the amount of range he has, where again he can be very serious, but he can be very emotional, which Hagrid is a very emotional character. You see this giant and you think he's like, oh, gonna it's like Shrek, he's gonna grind your bones to make his bread. But then you meet him and you talk to him, and he's very sensitive. He takes care of magical creatures, and he's very caring, and he's gonna help anyone any way he can. And so I think Nick can do those things really, really well, but also possibly add his own style of humor to Hagrid, where like Hagrid would do, kind of goofy things or say something, and obviously it's a joke, but with his timing and I think it would. Not to mention, I would like to see him do like some improv or something. I'm sure with Nick, because that's what he's good at. It was like the improv kind of thing. You know, see him just kind of improv lines and like to have the trio kind of, act off of that. It's like, yeah, that wasn't even in the script. We just kept it like a Robin Williams kind of thing. How there were so many times it's like, yeah, we had a one page of script for him, but That one page went for like 5 hours because he kept improvising. And trust me, we wanted to keep it all. It was all amazing. Um, but yeah, Nick Frost, great actor. Um, but let me know what you think. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.